his hands held out to the warmth. He was talking slowly, interrupting himself abruptly now and again with a murmured, "Yes, yes," as if he were trying to gather up to make sure of his memories. Then he would continue his sentence. The table beside him was littered with papers, books, odds and ends of various kinds. The lamp was turned low. I could see nothing of him except his pallid face and his hands, long and thin in the firelight. The purring of a cat that lay on the hearth rug and the crackling of the logs that sent up strangely shaped flames were the only sounds that broke the silence. He was speaking in a faraway voice, as a man might in his dream. Yes, yes, it was the greatest misfortune of my life. I could have borne the loss of every penny I possess, of my health, anything, everything, but not that. To have lived for 10 years with the woman you adore, and then to watch her die, and to be left to face alone, quite alone. It was almost more than I could bear. It is 6 months since I lost her. How long ago it seems, and how short the days used to be. If only she had been ill for some time, if only there had been some warning. It seems a horrible thing to say, but when you know beforehand, the mind gets prepared, doesn't it? Little by little, the heart readjusts its outlook. You grow used to the idea. But as it was, "But I thought she had been ill for some time," I said. He shook his head. "Not at all, not at all. It was quite sudden. The doctors were never even able to find out what was the matter with her. It all happened and was over in 2 days. Since then, I don't know how or why I have gone on living. All day long, I wander around the house looking for some reminder of her that I never find, imagining that she will appear to me from behind the hangings, that a breath of her scent will come to me in the empty rooms." He stretched out his hand toward the table. "Look, yesterday I found this veil in one of my pockets. She gave it to me to carry one evening when we were at the theater, and I try to believe it still smells of her perfume, is still warm from its contact with her face. But no, nothing remains except a sorrow, though there is something, only in the first shock of grief you sometimes have extraordinary ideas. Can you believe that I photographed her lying on her deathbed? I took my camera into the white, silent room and lit the magnesium wire. Yes, overwhelmed as I was with grief, I did the most scrupulous precaution and care things from which I should shrink today, revolting things. Yet it is a great consolation to know she is there, that I shall be able to see her again as she looked that last day." "Where is this photograph?" I asked. Leaning forward, he replied in a low voice, "I haven't got it. Or rather, I have it. I have the plate, but I never had the courage to touch it. Yet how I have longed to see it." He laid his hand on my arm. "Listen, tonight, your visit, the way I have been able to talk about her, it makes me feel better, almost strong again. Will you come with me to the dark room? Will you help me develop the plate?" He looked into my face with the anxious, questioning expression of a child whose fears he maybe refused something rose quickly. Yes, with you it will be different. With you, I shall keep calm, and it will do me good. I shall be much happier, you see. We went to the dark room, a closet with bottles ranged around on shelves. A trestle table littered with dishes, glasses, and books ran along one side of the wall. By the light of a candle that threw flickering shadows round him, he silently examined the labels on the bottles and rubbed some dishes. Presently he lit a lamp with red glass, blew out the candle, and said to me, "Shut the door." There was something dramatic about the darkness, relieved only by the blood-red light. Unexpected reflections touched the sides of the bottles, played on his wrinkled cheeks, on his hollow temples. He said, "Is the door closely shut? Then I will begin." He opened a dark slide and took up a plate, holding it carefully at the corners between his thumb and first fingers. He looked at it intently for a long time, as if trying to see the invisible picture which was so soon to appear. With great care, he let it glide into the bath and began to rock the dish. I cannot say why, but it seemed to me that the tapping of the porcelain on the boards at regular intervals made a curiously mournful sound. The monotonous lapping of the liquid suggested a vague sobbing, and I could not lift my eyes from the milk-colored piece of glass, which was slowly taking on a darker line round its edges. I looked at my friend. His lips were trembling as he murmured words and sentences which I failed to catch. He drew out the plate, held it up to the level of his eyes, and said as I leaned over his shoulder, "It's coming up, slowly. My developer is rather weak, but that's nothing. Look, the highlights are coming. Wait, you'll see." He put the plate back, and it sank into the developer with a soft, sucking sound. The gray color had spread uniformly over the plate. His head bent over it. He explained, "The dark rectangle is the bed. Up above that square," he pointed out with a motion of his chin, "is the pillow, and in the middle, the lighter part with the pale streak outlined on the background. That is, look, there's the crucifix I put between her fingers. My poor little one, my darling." His voice was hoarse with emotion. The tears were running down his cheeks as his chest rose and fell. "The details are coming up," he said presently, trying to control himself. "I can see the lighted candles and the flowers, her hair, which was so beautiful, the hands of which she was so proud, and the little white rosary that I found in her book of hours. How it hurts to see it all again, yet somehow it makes me happy, very happy. I am looking at her again, my poor darling." Feeling that emotion was overcoming him and wishing to soothe, I said, "Don't you think the plate is ready now?" He held it up near the lamp, examined it closely, and put it back in the bath. After a short interval, he drew it out afresh, re-examined it, and put it back, murmuring, "No, no." Something in the tone of his voice and the abruptness of his gesture struck me, but I had no time to think, for he at once began to speak again. "There are still some details to come up. It's rather long, but as I told you, my developer is weak, so they only come up one by one." He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. "This time it will do. If I force it, I shall spoil it." He took up a plate, so ghastly that I cried.